Hi all, welcome to Synergita Talentcast. This is another edition where we get HR thought leaders talk about performance management, employee engagement, and the challenges they face in their everyday work. Today we have Karen D. Weeks, who's a strategic partner helping companies build and scale their culture to meet their business goals and help people find their career passions. Her passion is on talent development, organizational effectiveness, individual career development, and helping teams through change. Currently, Karen is the Senior Vice President of People at Order Group and was named one of the 2020 Notable Women in Talent by Crain's New York Business. Karen is also a certified career coach, speaker, advisor to startup companies, the publisher, author of Setting the Stage, a guide to preparing for any feedback conversation, and host of the podcast, Getting Off Their Hamster Wheel. She lives in New York City with her husband and furry babies. Welcome, Karen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, buddy.
Awesome. So I think what I'm going to start, in this pandemic, I know probably you've been hearing this every day, right? Organizations where strategic and dynamic HR practices kind of are on the go, right, in the current scenario. Employee performance management practices play a key role in building the overall organizational competency and effectiveness. Can you give us a few reasons why organizations should focus on employee performance management? And it will be great if you actually, in your previous role at Yodel and your current role at Order Group, what difference did you see? What worked? What did not work? And how do you manage your everyday work? And those things will be great insights.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting because I have heard a lot of people say, how do we handle performance management during a pandemic? We want to be thoughtful and recognize that people are going through a lot. Companies' goals probably changed. And so how do you manage against that? And I think it always goes back to the goal of performance management, whether that is annual performance reviews or ongoing feedback, is to help people be the best they can be. Let them know what's going really well, let them know where they're struggling and have that conversation, give them the tools to improve. And so if that's the place where you're coming from when you give performance feedback, then you can frame it in a way that's not dismissive of the situation someone may be in.
Right.
It recognizes that goals may have changed. So let's talk about how you're performing against the new goals, or let's talk about how the goals have changed. And so I think don't shy away from it, even though there's a lot happening around all of us right now. Just position it in a way that's human to human, respectful, setting the person up for success, helping them through any struggles they have. And that helps set the right tone for the conversation. I think that depending on your size of your organization. So when I was at Yodel, I got there when we were about 300. We grew to about 1,500 before we got acquired. It was an amazing journey. I'm so thankful for my time there. But obviously that is a very different way to manage performance than at Order Group, where we're at 75 people. It also is very different roles as well. Yodel had a huge call center, as well as engineers and product managers, while Order Groove does not have that. And so when I thought about performance management at Yodel, we really thought about what do we want every Yodeler to go through? So we want people to get feedback on how they live the values. There's some competencies that are important at this company. But then on the flip side, giving feedback to an inside sales rep who's dialing, 100 calls a day is going to look different than how we design it for a product manager. And so that's where we sort of built in different ways to think about it. While the philosophy was the same for everybody, how we executed it was different depending on the team.
So I'm sure training will be a great part of it, right? For a manager,
yes.
That too, when they are not used to, let's say, remote management, right?
Yes, we've done a lot of training at Order Groove about, and actually we have a training tomorrow about how to have some of these conversations, especially because at Order Groove, we were very used to being together. We had some folks that were remote, but most people were based in New York.
Okay.
And so, how do you see those social cues? How do you start the conversation in a more human way versus diving right into the agenda? Because those are things you miss when you're not bumping into them in the kitchen or walking and chatting on your way to a meeting. So build that into your one-on-ones and your feedback conversations.
Awesome. I think the other thing that's something which we are seeing is what we call the recency error, right? It's one of the most common rating errors observed among managers who rate employees during the appraisal. Do you think continuous feedback can help in reducing it? If so, are there any few ideas and steps which you can bring to get the continuous feedback culture in an organization?
Yeah, I think it really can. I mean, I respect that some companies still really like doing annual performance reviews. But if you can do continuous feedback as you go through the year, then you've got the story already there for the
Right.
annual review. And I think that while platforms and tools are obviously extremely important, especially as you scale and grow, however you keep notes, that's what it's all about to help avoid recency. If it's a Word document, it's the tool that you have as a company, it's tags and emails, whatever works for you. But that way you can go back and look at the last 6 months, the last quarter,
Right.
whatever the time frame is. And then as you're giving feedback along the way with continuous feedback, you can continue to build the story because you'll quickly start to see, probably not with everybody, but most of the time, some themes. So someone who struggles with attention to detail, you're able to give them feedback as you go and live examples of, oh, that was a place that you did really well and way to step it up, or that was an example of where I've seen you struggle. And you're able to capture it in the moment, but you're tying it back to a theme that you've talked about before.
Wow, I mean, it sounds pretty complex, but I think it kind of helps, I guess, in terms of making sure the progress is kind of taken care of over the period of the year, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think if you only do it once a year or, once whatever the cadence is, you're really missing out on giving people the opportunity to either adjust if something's not going well or build upon something that's going really well. Think about it. If you're trying to lose weight and you're seeing the progress of that success, you're going to
Right.
keep at it because you're like, yeah, this is
Absolutely.
working. So the feedback can be the same thing.
Awesome. And the one more thing is about successful and kind of powerful teams, right? They motivate employees to learn, they make them grow, and they kind of become a part of the collective success of any business. What kind of tips can you share? What have you seen work in terms of building successful teams?
Yeah, one tool that I really like to use is some sort of behavioral profile, whether that's DISC, Myers-Briggs, Hayes Group, like they're all the same. Don't tell anybody. It's really whatever works best for your organization.
I
But the
know.
reason why I like that, because if you combine that with your organizational values, you're creating common language about how people work. And so if I know that you are extremely action oriented and I'm very data driven, when we have that conversation or we're in a team meeting and we're working on a project together, that helps us understand each other and know how best to work with each other
Okay.
and how I need to communicate with you and how you want to communicate with me. So I think that's one tool that can help create a common language. But otherwise, it's really respecting what each other brings to the table. You're a team for a reason. You may be really great at Excel. I may really be really great at relationship building. And together, we're going to have the best project management team ever. And so really respecting what each person brings to the table.
I guess empathy plays a big part in it, right? So where I think I'm assuming most of successful teams have a lot of empathy in them in terms of, hey, you bring a certain value to the table and I'm bringing certain value. So it's kind of recognizing those, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And in assuming good intent, if for some reason you and I are disagreeing, it's not because you're a bad person or you're out to get me or you just, you're not trying to get to the same place I'm trying to get to. We just have a different way to get there. And so active listening, asking a lot of questions, realizing that you're trying to do your best and like, I'm just trying to do my best. Those are all empathetic ways that we can work together.
And the final thing which I want to ask you is, it's more of resistance to organizational change, right? I think it's probably the first behavior to become defensive, it's like immediately with a lot of employees say, hey, no, I can't, I don't think I can change. But it also requires the employees to be open in terms of, they have to open mind in terms of new ways of thinking and doing work. What are some of the best ways you think which can improve employee adoption and have successful change management?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. Often people resist change because they're fearful. They're afraid they're not going to be able to perform in the new way, or maybe their job's going to be impacted. And so they tend to retreat and get defensive. So helping walk through what the change is, how it impacts them, and how you're going to support them through it, whether that's training a new skill or redefining their job in a good way, or being honest with them about, yeah, this is going to be a change and this is going to be different, but we'll figure it out together. I think those are some of the communication tools that will be really helpful. And then also recognizing, we were going back to empathy earlier, recognizing that people have been through change before and they bring that baggage with them, whether it's change fatigue, like especially in 2020, everybody's just exhausted.
Oh,
So
yeah.
recognizing that fatigue, maybe there's a little whiplash. I thought we were going this way, now we're going this way. So just recognizing that is also part of what people are going through, in addition to, I hope I can be successful with whatever this change is.
I remember when I was working in the US, we had put some process in place, and I thought part of my job kind of went away. So I remember making there was an initial reaction where, okay, what am I going to do now? Because there are all these things already taken care of. But then luckily I had a great manager. So we were able to come to an agreement. At least there was some agreement, okay, no, it's going to make me more productive, much more focused. So there was someone who was kind of give me that insight into why this is happening and how it will help me perform better,
Yes.
right? So I think it's important that there's a better manager who can communicate that, right?
Yeah, some of your biggest opportunities for growth and to develop your career happen through change.
Right.
And so if you can see that and your manager can help you identify those opportunities, that can make it a positive thing versus a scary thing.
Awesome. I think amazing insights in a short span of time. I'm not sure I could have gotten better. Thanks, Karen. This is a great insights for us. Thanks for joining Synergita Talentcast. We'll come with more episodes, and goodbye till then.
Thank you.